Good morning, it's Tim Wild. Friday Ascension update from the sunniest of sunny woods. Well, I hope you're all right and you've had a lovely week. And the sun is directly behind me. It's a bit of an experiment this morning because obviously it's getting lighter every day at the moment, and all of a sudden if it rises over us, rises over the top of my head, I might have to move the camera elsewhere. So we'll see how it goes, fingers crossed. But it feels warm and lovely this morning, and yeah, it's spring. It's been a really intense week energy wise. Again, I mean, I've spoken many times before about the intensity of the energies that we are receiving from the cosmos at the moment. And the way that I've worked it out is it tends to be that we get 48 hours of incoming downloads and energies. That's how long they tend to last. And then you basically get a day or two to integrate, depending on what the cosmic setup is, and then it begins again. So it's a perpetual cycle. And of course, during April, particularly over the Easter weekend, this is when it really stepped up, and we really started receiving light that was beyond what we're physically, mentally, emotionally and spiritually used to. And we really had to adjust to it. Many of you will still be adjusting to it at the moment. I'm still adjusting to it. We're having to kind of like take more time out, drink more water, exercise, ground, really be aware of self. Now it's being aware of self can be a bit tricky where we are at the moment. Many of you listening to this will be in positions of responsibility now, where you have, for want of a better word, taken under your wing those around you who are maybe newly awakened, maybe they're struggling, maybe you are trained and you are qualified to deal with whatever they are experiencing, because no doubt you have experienced it yourself. So there's just lots and lots of this occurring all around us, but on many occasions you've heard me say it before, take that time to step out. The foremost thing when you're doing this job is self-care, because if you, as I've been told many times before, you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to make sure it's regenerated. You have to make sure that your light is topped up, keeping your chakras clear of intrusions, particularly around the solar plexus. It's imperative. And grounding, one of the most important things is get a spiritual routine. Okay, this is I know it sounds a bit old school, it sounds a bit of a cliche, but one of the things that Diana Cooper was told when she first began this spiritual journey, she was communicating with her guide, Kumika, who many of you may have heard of, and she said, well, what do I do? What is the best thing that I can possibly do to assist myself, to help me integrate what I'm receiving and put it into positive action? He said, get a spiritual routine, get a routine, make sure that your day is structured, and say for the sake of example that you've got children, include them in your routine, make sure that everything functions in an orderly manner. I know it's not always possible, but if you start the day with feet on the ground, raise the vibration, set that, everything else around you kind of chimes into place. Now, talking of chiming into place, this is a little bit of what I want to look at this morning. It's crystals. I'm asked so many times about crystals and how to use them, what's the best way to integrate with them. I've got lots on my website, www.timwild.com, regarding kind of crystals. There's videos on YouTube that I've put out, also videos on how to most effectively and simply connect with and use crystals. And the best thing to do, I always find, is not to think about it too much. as soon as you start engaging your brain with, am I doing this right? What does this crystal do? Is it speaking to me properly? It then becomes an issue because the mind has stepped into the way, and most of the time the mind creates expectations of what we should be receiving or what we should be achieving by our connection to crystal. So I'll just get mine out of my pocket. This crystal has been with me for a considerable period of time. It's traveled abroad to workshops, it attends all my events on Zoom online now, and it's part of me. When you connect with a crystal, it can be any crystal, it could be a crystal carving, it could be a dragon, it could be a skull, or it could be a Lemurian crystal like this, or it could be a piece of amethyst, or it could be a piece of quartz, something that you either touch or connect with on a regular basis, or is around you and is aware of your energy, has tuned into you at some point in the proceeding. That crystal has become part of your energetic, the biosphere of your reality, and will respond immediately to whatever you are. If your light rises, if your light falls, your crystal knows about it. It's tuned completely in, and they oscillate at multiple dimensional frequencies simultaneously. This is what makes quartz. I mean, quartz has been asked many times, what is my favorite crystal? What crystal do I use the most? Quartz. It is by far the most versatile of all crystals. And so, say for the sake of example, I want to ground myself, a lot of people would take a piece of obsidian and rely very specifically on the qualities of that obsidian to ground, harmonize, and kind of stabilize the energetic fields. If I, say for the sake of example, I didn't have any obsidian, I would be able to do exactly the same job with my quartz crystal, quite simply because it can take on any energy format. So grounding energies into crystals, using them to amplify energies, and most importantly, the one that keeps being shown to me at the moment is linking my crystal into other crystals. Now, as well as going through the personal vibration raising that we're doing, where all of us are interconnected with each other around the world, we're all connected energetically via the navel chakra, which on one side of the coin sounds like a really good thing, and other people think, well, I don't want to be connected into people that aren't of my vibration, they'll be dragging me down. Well, that's with the navel chakra, that's not the case. It works at a fifth dimensional vibration. It doesn't kind of cater for the lower frequency. So we're all interconnected on this high frequency bandwidth, and so are our crystals. Okay, the crystal network around this world at the moment is increasing in luminosity, and one of the most useful things that we can, if you're wanting to do some crystal work, if you're like, right, what is the best way for me to use my crystal today? What could I do with it that will not just work for me but will work for the rest of the planet? What I keep being shown is this very bright, it's rising in frequency all the time. The light steps up as it comes in, the crystals respond, and they hold and they amplify that grid network of light. So at the moment they're doing what I call beacon pointing. Now, beacon pointing is an exercise that you'll be able to find on my website, where you're basically asking your crystal to hold the highest pillar of light that it can possibly manage to do, and create a field of energy around you. Now, that particular field of light will spread for as far as you want it to. If you've done that exercise previously, the pillar of light, or the light that anchors into your crystal, will then it will pulse out at the frequency that's being set by the collection of suns that the energy is coming in from. Or it might have been a healing ray, it might have been Archangel Raphael's ray, it could have been Archangel Gabriel's diamond ray. Or if you're looking for more protection or that courage and fortification, then Archangel Michael. But the way that it's been shown to me is all of this light coming in, it has to have an anchor point. Okay, it has to ground exactly the same way that lightning does. It's okay. It's one thing pouring all of the light in and having it coming in deluges, but it looks for points of connection, and the majority of the time that will be our crystals. Okay, they're the best points to connect to, because they don't argue, they don't make a fuss, they don't whinge about Ascension symptoms afterwards, which we are perfectly within our rights to do so, because when you do integrate a lot of light, it is hard work, but a crystal will just do its job. It will anchor that light in and it will amplify it, and it's there, it's solid, it knows no other job. So as well as us being the anchor points for all of this light, the crystals are doing the job around the planet that we are striving to do. And this is why they are such a huge part of our ascension process. It's why we've all gravitated towards them and we love them so much, is because without them, we were not necessarily struggling, but I've been told that we'd be a lot further behind on our process if we hadn't had this amazing connection offered to us that we've graciously taken up. So the really powerful activity that I've been kind of toying with myself, might be something that you do already, is linking my my kind of primary crystal into other crystals in the locality. Now, whereas we might not be connected to that owner of the crystal, the crystals are continuously communicating with each other. They know where the other crystals are. They're part of this huge conscious grid all around the planet. But as with anything, the process is occurring naturally, but with our conscious intention, it becomes very much more powerful, and it happens quickly. It happens immediately, because it's us focusing on an aspect of a natural process that is occurring, but it does need assistance. It does need conscious attention to make sure that it is stable, and that we are taking responsibility for it. So take a few moments this morning when you've got time to get your crystal. It can be, doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be big and fancy. It could be a tiny piece of quartz, it could be pebble sized, and that will still do the same job as this crystal, as bigger crystals or anyone. They are incredibly powerful, incredibly versatile. So whether it's rose quartz, whether it's amethyst, whether it's smoky, whether it's one of the more opaque crystals, just take a few moments to hold it within your hands and ask it to show you the crystal network surrounding you. And as you either link in mentally or use your third eye to just create a picture, or if you have problems creating pictures, just sense and feel the crystal network all around you via your crystal. This is good practice as well. Just to link in, to tune in, and just be aware of how many of them there actually are. They're in the ground, they're in people's houses, they're part of the structures that have been built into the land around us. But most specifically, the working crystals, the crystals that are being used on this ascension process to anchor and to hold in light. So just be aware and watch them all lighting up. And just see the thousands and thousands of crystals in your locality linked into your crystal. And then if you're feeling quite expansive, see the crystals that are linked into those crystals. And if you're lucky, you'll be just shown an extended glimpse or a brief glimpse of the incredible crystal network that is all around our planet. It is absolutely solid and raising in frequency all the time. Now consciously just bring your crystal into the game, bring you into the game, link into it. And just ask the archangels, the unicorns and the dragons to add their light. If there's any ascended masters that are waiting in the background for you to do this work, ask them to add their light. And the galactics too. And just consciously commit to holding this higher, brighter frequency. Every single thing that we add to this consciously has a profound effect. And just see your crystal becoming part of this huge and intricate network, this web of light all around our planet. You'll see it linked into the sheets of crystals underneath the ground, the ones that have still been sat undisturbed for millions of years. Linking into the other crystals that are beacon pointing and anchoring in the light. And just via your crystal now, ask every single one of them to hold the highest vibration possible today and to raise it as much as possible for every single minute of the day that passes. And just sense and see and feel how powerful that is to become part of a working conscious and unconscious network around this planet. So whereas we're doing the physical job, the crystals are doing the energy, the crystals which are very physical. We have them here, they're tangible, we can feel them, they're doing this work. There's also this huge operation going around the planet at the moment, where all of this light is coming in and it is being anchored in and distributed, and it's going into the ley systems, it's going into the fifth dimensional matrix that has become very, very well fortified. I know I use that word I've been using it quite a lot recently. Fortification, okay, it keeps coming to me as something that it's prominent as we are building. Is say for example you're building a new house. It's a popular analogy for me. That house needs to be fortified. You wouldn't put the bricks together without cement. And when you make the cement, you'd make sure that it was going to last for a good long time. You've got houses that have been built for 300, 400, 500 years. And so when they were created, they were fortified. They weren't built on bad land. They weren't sloppily thrown together. This is very much what we are doing with our process at the moment. We're making sure it's stable. We're making sure it's solid. We might not feel stable or solid a lot of the time because we are flesh and blood. We're human beings. We're stepping well beyond the boundaries that we've ever been in before, because for those of you that are Atlantis aware and were part of Atlantis, when we went through the golden era, the 1,500 years where we maintained a fifth dimensional frequency, we did it under control. It was a controlled experiment that obviously it failed eventually because it was intended to. But where we are now, we've stepped even beyond that. The frequencies and the energies that we are using have gone even further, and the light that we are using wasn't available back then apart from to the very highest of priests that were used to handling it. So we are using it's groundbreaking energies that are coming into the planet at the moment, which I don't think a lot, I have to sit down and remind myself from time to time exactly where I am, what I'm doing, and just how incredible it is to be part of this process. And I know I say that a lot, and we might not feel that it's totally incredible every single day because we're being pushed ourselves, but it is. And it's an absolute honor to be here in service with every single one of you. And I mean that completely from my heart, because it's becoming very apparent to me now just how effectively we are working as a team, and we will continue to do so. The more of us that are joining this this throng of awakened souls around the planet, the more powerful the waves of it become. So I hope you have a beautiful end to the week, and I hope the weekend is equally lovely, and I'll be back on Monday with a walking meditation. So sending you all lots of love, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.